Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Josh, I'm sorry. I know you always do the intro to this one, but I figured this one I would actually take the reins on the intro. Everybody, welcome back to the WADcast for this Friday night's episode about streaming services and what we're going to discuss on the show in regards to what makes a good or bad one and what Josh and I would actually have on our streaming service. But as you notice, the show starts a little early tonight. We are not supposed to go live until 7 p.m. Pacific time and 10 p.m. Eastern time, but I kind of urged Josh to start a show a little earlier in light of a new addition through a friend of mine who is a very, very, very close friend. You could say very much a loved one. My friend Gabrielle, who just gave birth at 11:30 last night to her son Braxton, her first child, and I want to try to beat the visiting hours. So we are going to have a show earlier tonight than usual because I'll be out of here by 7:30 p.m. my time, 10:30 p.m. Josh's time. But you have me, Brandon, the co-host, co-owner, and everything else of WADco Media and the WADcast, with my partner in crime, Josh, here in this chat with me. Josh, nice to see you. Hi, buddy. How you been? How's your week? A little bit of a throw off. I know you were expecting to do your little intro as you always do, and I just ripped it away from you. Sorry. I love you. Hi, Josh.
What the kind of intro was that?
It was my kind. So listen, if you are not friends with this chaotic, albeit lovable and adorable.
Yeah, I got rid of him. What are you going to do about it? Okay, I don't know. His connection just dropped. Wasn't me. Hey, kids. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast number 158. I'm ready to get things started the proper way. See, it was fate interjecting and saying, you know what? There's a way we do things around here. And that wasn't it. No, but seriously, congratulations to Brandon's friend, Mazel, on the new addition to the world. And good luck with the new baby. I'm pretty sure at some point Brandon will be back in here blaming me for what went wrong because, well, it seems like that would be a likely story, actually, considering the look on my face. But here we are. It's episode number 158. A great time to be had as soon as Brandon gets back in here. Tonight we're going to, as he was saying, talk about some streaming services, some of our favorite programs, and we're going to close it all up. Not with that talk about what we would do. That's going to be more like 3/4 of the way. But I'm actually going to close the show with my. I actually did the thing. Yep. For those of you at home, I printed out the Oscar ballots. I'm going to make my predictions live on the air. Where the hell is Brandon? Anyway. So, streaming services. There's a ton of them. There's a few that I would like to have on here. But for some reason, some studios feel it's more in line to team up with the existing streaming services on hand. There are streaming services for almost everything you could imagine. Whether it's,
That. There we go. Sorry, I got a pop-up. I closed the entire thing instead of like one window. I apologize. Hi. Welcome to Friday night's WADcast episode. That's very early. I did a great introduction, and then I was...
and then left.
Yeah. It was not intentional, Josh.
As soon as you left, I was like, listen, and he's gone. I can do this the right way.
Listen, here's the deal. This is the WADcast, man. Okay. Now, we are the one WADcast. As I said in the description of my Instagram video earlier, we're the one WADcast worth listening to, because it's not a with all disrespect podcast. And it's not like whatever the other WADcast is with a brother and sister duo. It's a WADcast that discusses the ins and outs of the film and television and independent television film industries, where we have special guests. That's what we are. Yeah, it's actually the way I just said was probably the most respectful, professional way we've really discussed what we are. But we are the WADcast worth listening to, ladies and gentlemen, or watching, or viewing, or whatever. Josh and I are longtime friends. Shut the hell up, Josh. We're longtime friends who have a lot of respect for each other, and I've been writing partners for how many years now, man?
2,
a long time. Now, I'm not talking about bad agent. I'm talking about before that. But we've collaborated and we've discussed numerous projects. So I apologize for the abrupt dismissal of my face. Unfortunately, I got like a pop-up that I went to go click once on the closure icon, and I double clicked it on just not one but two X's, and the other X was the window for the podcast, the StreamYard that we use. So that being the case, I'm back, and you and I had a conversation at one point about streaming services. What makes them good? What makes them bad? What makes other ones better than the other ones? And you and I, we've had this conversation, but we've never discussed it on our show. Show like strikingly similar to something that discusses things in the entertainment industry, and of which in recent years streaming has become a pinnacle of just showing movies and TV shows or shorts or pilots that have not really had a voice anywhere else, because of how selective the mainstream media really is when it comes to what they pick up and what they really show. So, and in recent years, there has been a surgence of numerous streaming services. It started off with, well, let's be truthful here. It started off with Netflix as the original, not streaming service, but not just streaming service, rather. Well, no, you know what? YouTube, I think, would be the original streaming service, but Netflix started off as a video delivery and video game, I believe. Didn't they start off as like GameFly?
No,
way back when. I thought GameFly was like originally like a facet of Netflix.
GameFly was its own thing that came post Netflix.
Okay, but Netflix was a mailing service for DVDs.
Yes,
at one point, that's how they started. Netflix went from a mailing service to creating a streaming service that they tried to sell to Blockbuster in Blockbuster's later years, in their final years. And there's, to my understanding, there is a Blockbuster, but a large part of their business comes from being a Blockbuster video, where they sell, like clothing items. It cracks me up. Like when I worked at Blockbuster when I was younger, when I was in college, and I had a uniform, but I was provided the uniform, and now they sell for a lot of money. If you have an OG uniform, I wish I kept mine. If you have an OG Blockbuster uniform, you can actually sell it for a lot of money online. Like it's just vintage now. It's a relic of the past that no longer exists, aside from one somewhere in Ohio. But Netflix tried selling to Blockbuster. Blockbuster said, no, we got this. And then Netflix just became Netflix. And then RedTube came out while Blockbuster was hurting. And Blockbuster was like, oh, well, they have RedTube. RedTube. What was RedTube is? What's Redbox.
Yes, Redbox.
I think like YouTube here with Redbox. So YouTube Red Box came out. Red Tube. Okay, no, Red Tube is an adult happy channel, ladies and gentlemen. Red Box came out and they tried selling their idea to Netflix. Netflix said, no, we got this. So Netflix never created a streaming service, and they tried coming out with like a blue box to kind of like slap Redbox in the face. And Redbox is still around while Blue Box is gone. And Blockbuster Videos now out of business, completely bankrupted, broke and miserable, with the exception of one Blockbuster Video in the United States that's fully functioning as a video rental and also as a store that sells, memorabilia of
and
the
Airbnb.
Oh, and it is an Airbnb. No, you're right. They are an Airbnb now too. Oh, save the night in a Blockbuster Video. Like, and you know what? I would, and I'm sure you and I both would. We'd have a great time. We would do.
I think we should.
Friday night.
We should do a show from there.
I agree with you, but like that's in Ohio.
Yeah,
I am less. Is it Oregon or Ohio?
I'm pretty sure it's Oregon.
Well, I'll have to look this up. But either way, the fact remains that if you and I were to go to this Blockbuster Video, I would be able to pick up and leave at any moment of my choosing and have very little to worry about.
Do it now.
On the other hand, Josh.
Do it now.
Huh? Do it now. Well, no.
Do it now.
I'm not going to. No, I'm not going to go buy a ticket right now.
Yeah, it's in Bend, Oregon.
What I'm saying is that you have 3 children that you live with that would very much miss their dad. You have a life.
They come to.
Oh, okay. Well, they can't be on the show because, otherwise Indiana has to come on the show.
Well, my kids would be
name?
Considered unpaid labor. Someone's got to run the camera and the board while we're
you know what? And I've
doing our thing.
I've got this on my end. Indiana, come here. Meet the dog at the end of the shows. This is Indiana Jones right here. Okay. He's 9 years old. He can't make it up here anymore on his own. There we go. This is Indiana Jones. If you recognize the back of this head that's not showing it all in the video, he's shy. That was the dog's name. This is him. So, all right, get down. All right, go lay down. Go on, lay down. Well, you messed everything up. You did this. Don't you start limping because you just mess things up. Stop it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I swear to you, we're going to get to talking about the streaming services soon.
We started to. Now, the thing is with streaming services, what started off as Netflix with mailing DVDs turned into Netflix with the streaming services, which then spawned off brands and offshoots of streaming services. Like you have Amazon, that was at one point just a delivery service, which is now a media service as well with Amazon Prime Video. Mm-hmm. You have Hulu. Hulu turned into other companies looking at this like, oh, this is a great idea. They started seeing more things coming out. And so with Amazon Prime, a lot of the cable services with Starz, Showtime, Cinemax, and everything else, like, we should have our own services too. And they partnered up. They had their own. But they went on to partner up with Amazon Prime. And what Amazon Prime did was brilliant because they found offshoot streaming services that specialize in certain things. You have Shudder, which specializes in horror films, short and feature length. Amazon signed them on to be with like an affiliated service with Amazon Prime. So Shudder is now exclusively on Amazon Prime. You have all these other like channels, Western channels. You have all these genres on Amazon Prime that were created originally as attempted streaming services or just channels on things like YouTube that Prime picked up. And so now you have all these services on Amazon Prime, along with the big dogs like Cinemax, or as people of mine and Josh's generation used to call it, Skinemax, because of their late nights that they had. You have Showtime, you have Stars, you have you even like I don't think HBO was on there, but HBO decided like, well, we're not going to go with Amazon, we'll create our own, which gave way to HBO Max, which then got picked up by Discovery, which turned it into just Max. But then you have other streaming services that came out like Peacock, other channels like Peacock, which was what was it? ABC, right? ABC, NBC. So NBC came out with Peacock. Paramount Studios came out with Paramount. So you have numerous streaming services, and it's like South Park made an episode called Streaming Wars. I'm sorry, a special rather on Paramount called Streaming Wars. And it touches on all these streaming services that are around, like Disney Plus and everything else. Disney Plus, again, that was Disney. They did not want to have an affiliation with other platforms, so they created their own. And you
had partial ownership in Hulu.
Yes, and they have a partnership with them now. But
now Disney just owns Hulu.
Oh, do they? Oh, they bought Hulu.
They bought out the rest of the shares. So sometime this year, Disney Plus and Hulu are going to merge into one app.
They are. Oh, okay. So right now, Hulu is on Disney Plus, but later sometime this year, it's just not going to be Hulu. It's going to be Disney Plus, and if you have a Hulu account, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Because I know right now Disney Plus has a Hulu on there, but it's all ad driven with Hulu. I tried watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia on Disney Plus, and it was an ad.
I think you mean it the other way around.
So Hulu is ad driven with Disney
on Hulu.
I'm sorry?
Where they put the Disney Plus content on Hulu. And
no, Hulu's on Disney Plus.
I mean, Hulu itself is not a brand, but they do have some originals, not a whole lot. But yeah. Disney, since buying Fox, have just started integrating Fox shows and Fox movies onto Disney Plus naturally.
Yeah, and like mind you, it's like and I get that Hulu is largely FX, which was an offshoot of Fox, hence FX. But just remove the O, and the rest is the same. But what I'm saying is, like with Hulu, you can find Hulu shows on Disney Plus if you have a Disney Plus account. By the way, Mamika, thank you very much for your account privileges and adding me as one of the account names on there. I love Disney Plus here. I really do. But there are a lot of things that separate these streaming services, right, Josh? Like there's a lot. There's a ton of things that make these good or bad or lesser or greater than the other ones. And I will say that arguably, aside from a few programs, I would put Netflix no greater than maybe 6 or 7 on the list compared to what they started off as. They started off great, but
a much more level playing field.
Yes, absolutely. Netflix is like the guy that's like, I don't have to change things. Like what's working for me is working for everyone. Like I don't have to change. I don't have to improve at all. I will never evolve. Netflix is suffering because of it. Netflix is Netflix. As far as I'm concerned, they just don't really care about evolving. They think that what they are doing is perfect, and they are charging prices accordingly.
They just changed the game.
Oh, what did they do?
$5 billion to air WWE Monday Night Raw live.
So they'll have 5 more subscribers. The thing is still like joking. I'm joking.
I mean, there's joking, and then they're just saying something really dumb.
That was dumb. That's why it's a joke. That's exactly why it was a joke. Listen, WWE has a massive following. Even with AEW existing and yoking away a bunch of the key players. And not just the key players, but the audience attention as well. These people are leaving in droves for AEW. They're leaving WWE for AEW. I'm sorry. Yeah, leaving WWE for AEW, right? But WWE is still so popular. There's such a revered franchise that there are millions worldwide, millions of fans of WWE. And so with them going to Netflix and Netflix's acquisition of them, shit. Like that's because that's what it is, right? It's an acquisition of WWE's like platform.
As far as I know, right now it's just to air Monday Night Raw.
That's all it is. Just okay. So it's not more than Monday Night Raw.
Well, the WWE contract with Peacock, I think, runs out in 2026.
Okay.
At which point the library would be up for grabs and the live events, the specials, what we used to call pay-per-views back in the day.
Oh yeah, my God! Don't you miss those though? The pay per view is awesome. Oh, unless it was a waste of time. Like
Tomorrow
let's face it, like
the Royal Rumble.
Well, I mean, listen, the Royal Rumble was great, but in terms of pay per view though, let's just take it back a notch and switch. Not just sports, but WWE versus boxing. WWE was always like or like WWF if you're old enough to remember the World Wrestling Federation. But it when you were getting things on pay-per-view back in like the 90s and the early 2000s, it was great. Unless it was a Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield boxing match.
You wind up going to the kitchen to get your nachos. Come back, it's done.
It's over. Oh, Mike Tyson bit his ear off. Oh, that's okay. Holyfield won because of that, huh? All right. Oh man. But the thing is, I was like, what it is now, what it's evolved into, I love and loathe everything about it. Does it make sense? It feels less special to me. But
I just got word that Vince McMahon has stepped down from every position in TKO and WWE.
I heard that. This is where I would love to have Matt McCarthy on the show. Matt, if you're listening, buddy, we would love to have you on here to discuss this. As a former writer yourself of WWF, I would love to have you on here to discuss this stuff with us.
And as the host of the We Watch Wrestling podcast.
Yes. Absolutely.
Which, by the way, if you like wrestling, listen to the We Watch Wrestling podcast. It's amazing.
It really is. I've listened to a few episodes of it, and it was for someone that's been so far removed from the game of wrestling, the whole sport in itself. I will say that I learned quite a few things from Matt and his co-hosts, and also just like all their conversation. Like it's great. It really is. It's it's a very informative podcast in regards to the wrestling, because they don't just cover WWE, and they also cover AEW. They cover numerous parts of wrestling. But mind you, we've had Matt on the show. Huh?
New Japan.
Yes. Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't just cover Americanized wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. These guys cover things worldwide. Let's face it, the World Wrestling Federation was not the World Wrestling Federation. They cover the North America. That's like the same thing as like, well, Independence Day, like, we saved, like, the world helped us win against the aliens. No, it was Jeff Goldblum with a computer virus and Will Smith riding shotgun. That was Independence Day. Well, no, I'm sorry. Will Smith driving and Jeff Goldblum riding shotgun with a computer virus, right?
Like it was driving Miss Daisy with aliens.
So yeah, there we go. My God. Well, driving Mr. Daisy with aliens. Wow, that's a hell of a way to put Independence Day. I like it. I'm good. I'm good with it. But as I was saying though, it's like I would love to have Matt on here because his show covers so much of real world wrestling. And just the way he discusses things, the way that, like he and his co-host, like the way that these guys discuss things on the show, it is fascinating to hear their thoughts and also to hear from Matt occasionally about his experience in writing for, the WWE or WWF, however you want to look at it. I've listened to these shows. I'm like, wow, I'm really out of touch with wrestling.
You
Josh,
live in Los Angeles.
I never, dude, what free time do I have?
You could go to Bola every year.
I could. What time do I have? Josh,
You make
right
time.
Now? Yeah, you make time. Yeah.
But you don't even know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't have time to go to these things. I don't have time. I have not had time. Oh shit! There we go. Microphone. Bam. Hi. I have not had time to go to really anything in a while here, man. I do still occasionally work on film sets. I've got to make money where I can right now. Because I don't live in Jacksonville, Florida, where rent is like $5 and a handshake and a hot dog. I live in Los Angeles, where this is one room of a almost $500 a month apartment in Snoop Dogg's old neighborhood that has not improved much in the last like 35 years. But because it's California, I pay out the ass in rents. So yeah, I haven't really had time to really go and check out other things. So how do you feel? Horrible?
No.
You should.
Why?
It's okay. Thank you. I
It's
appreciate the
okay to say
apology.
you don't know what
Moving
Bola
on with the
is.
show, Josh. So let's go ahead and talk about the streaming services because we're off of them a little bit. Josh, what's your favorite streaming service that you have?
Right now, I never thought I'd say this. It's probably Paramount Plus.
Yeah, me too, actually. Okay. Why you?
I've been rewatching the original Star Trek.
Okay. Actually, not far from mine. Okay.
And
Nice.
it's nice to know that when I, start doing a deep dive into a franchise, everything's in one place.
Yeah. Okay.
And let's see, they do have a pretty good selection of movies, not to mention just years and years worth of CBS TV shows. Because if you recall, Paramount Plus was the CBS app,
Mm-hmm.
and then they
Yeah.
rebranded to make it more of a big Paramount thing, and started bringing home all of the IP
Yeah.
that Paramount have. I originally got it so I could watch Big Brother,
Okay. Oh God. Josh,
and then they just started adding a lot of really awesome stuff.
you got it to watch reality television.
Yeah, because
Josh.
that's my mom and I would love to watch Big Brother. Big
Okay,
Brother.
you know what? I'll forgive that then. Your mom was awesome.
Yeah, she was. I don't
Oh,
need your
God.
forgiveness.
You still have it.
Love Disney Plus still, because lackluster or not, they still have all of the Marvel stuff.
They do. They have X-Men. They have Spider-Man. They honestly, they actually have one of the earlier no, I'm sorry, the earliest rather. Amalgamations of Spider-Man interacting with the X-Men versus Juggernaut. And that was in Spider-Man and Friends. Don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh yeah, of course I did.
Because I remember, like, when I was a kid, I think it was during the Phoenix Saga, where you see things like shit's hitting the fan and they're trying to stop everything. But then you see, like, as things are happening, you see, like, you see, like, Spider-Man's hand come out, like, doing the whole, like, thwip thing. That's all you saw. But then we got to see Spider-Man in the animated series back in the 90s where they had the crossover with the X-Men. And it was awesome. They thought he was a mutant. He wasn't a mutant. So, but yeah. No, Disney Plus has some really good shit on it, though. Like, I mean, plus DuckTales, dude. I will say that DuckTales is one of the very few reboots of a series I really care about. Like, it was actually a damn good reboot of the series, of the original cartoon from the 80s that you and I were kids when it came out.
David Tennant.
Yes. Did a great job as Scrooge. Did a great job as Scrooge McDuck. He did an amazing job. But they also touched up on things like, like just the Beagle Boys and everything else. The Beagle Boys, rather. Beagle Boys, they did. No, was it Beagle? Yeah, Beagle Boys. They also touched up on oh god, what's the robot duck's name? Shit.
Blatherskites. It's Gizmo Duck.
Gizmo Duck. That's it. Okay, Gizmo Duck. But they also did a few other things as far as gave Huey, Dewey, and Louie like an origin story with Donald Duck, like Uncle Donald, and their mother, who was Donald Duck's brother, who was an astronaut and got stuck on, I believe, the moon, right? But you also saw the Rescue Rangers briefly and how they freed Launchpad McQuack. So it was like there are a few things but Disney Plus has other things, like they have the entire Marvel lineup, the entire Star Wars lineup. They have so many things that you can watch on there, right? I will say though, is as much as I love Disney Plus, I love HBO Max. I love HBO.
One of my favorites as well. Going through the TCM library, it's not complete, but it's amazing.
Absolutely, man.
Seeing these classic movies.
You've got some great shit on there. You have some amazing things on there.
Yeah.
Aside from The Flash, there are some amazing movies and shows on HBO Max. But and this is what I'm saying. Like, this is where I said, like, Netflix, you would think that Netflix is like the giants of streaming. They are one of the originals of streaming, but they're not the giant anymore. They're getting knocked further and further and further down the pedestal because they refuse to change. But you have things that have like more partnerships, like Disney and Hulu have a partnership with each other. As Disney is acquiring Hulu, there's this partnership right now. Because
Disney's always owned part of Hulu.
Yes, because of the merger with Fox. But as time's gone on, like, they are acquiring more and more facets of Hulu that are not Fox owned, because Hulu was never just Fox. Hulu owned they had a bunch of movies that were not Fox related properties that span across different streaming services. So
I feel like I should take a pause here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about Hulu for a second.
Okay.
Because Hulu sort of came on the scene as an alternative
bad boy of streaming
to cable, an alternative to broadcast television. They were the place you went to see yesterday's shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they would, regardless of network, regardless of studio, they would make these deals to just be able to next day. If you missed it last night, don't worry, Hulu's got you covered.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, they were very much like the whole, it's like, we got these reruns that you will have to wait like another, like, however long to see, because the studios take their time in broadcasting them.
In fact, it started out as just like a free service that you'd have to watch ads for.
Yeah, honestly, I will say, like, with Hulu, I'm surprised. If you were to tell me, like, say, like 10 years ago, tell me, like, oh, well, Hulu's going to be this, I would never believe you, because Hulu was around 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They were just starting out in the game, but they were the redheaded stepchild of streaming, because Netflix already had that in the bag.
Yeah, it's where you would go if you missed Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have what you have with Hulu now, and that's where I'm saying, and I've got to say what I said before. This is where Netflix starts falling further down in the dog pile of streaming services because Netflix has just played it safe for well over a decade now. They have largely the same, and they do have some things that were canceled. Like I don't know if it's still in there, but like Gallivant, the musical the musical Middle Ages TV show that was a comedy that was on Netflix, and now it's not. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. But that was a TV show back a few years back that got canceled after I think 1 or 2 seasons. That everyone's been clamoring for a resurgence of, but never happened. But Hulu has graciously partnered with numerous platforming giants and other studios like Starz, Showtime, Cinemax, Disney. So they've really gotten involved with other people. And while Disney acquired Fox, which does own FX, I don't think that, as they started talking about merging with Hulu, what Hulu's become versus Netflix, where Disney's like, hey, we'll pay you a shit ton of money to take over your services.
Well, again, they already owned part of it. They just bought it.
I know. Shares. But they still have to pay a lot more money to take over the services of Hulu. Whereas Netflix are like, we're not really interested in you guys at all. You guys aren't even a threat.
Yeah, Hulu really became, as you mentioned, they partnered with other services to carry subscriptions to make it more of a platform.
Yeah.
And ironically, started offering live TV. So technically they're also like a cable provider.
Yeah. And then with Hulu and Disney Plus, Netflix and Paramount, you've moved on to things like Peacock, which is not as popular. It is still very popular, but it's just not as popular as the aforementioned 3. Because I would say that the previous 3, between Disney Plus, Hulu, and Netflix, you and I both like Paramount, but those OGs are like the leaders in the game. They are the ones that have a lot of, diverse programming. Hulu and Disney kind of trade off as of right now, but as you said, Disney has been through that acquisition for quite some time. They're closing in on the finalities of it. But then you have Peacock, you have Apple Plus, which has one of our favorite shows on it, which is like Ted Lasso, with one of our favorite episodes, which I had to go back and rewatch when you mentioned it, in television history with Coach Beard. But then they also have things like
Jeopardy, by the way.
What's that?
I said, who was great on Celebrity Jeopardy, by the way.
I heard about that. I did not see that. I've really, really, really want to go see that episode. But you have other programs on there. You have that Harrison Ford. What's it called? The Harrison Ford TV series, a streaming series where he's a therapist. You have Monarch on there, which is a continuation of the Godzilla Kong movies, but it's on this one streaming service. Apple has their own shit going on, but you have like Disney, which does not just do Disney and Marvel. They also do other things that have been around, like Star Wars. It has a huge fan base. Now, Disney's owned Star Wars for years now, but you have all the OG Star Wars movies on there. You have episodes 1 through 6 on there. You have like the animated Clone Wars series. I'm not talking about the 3D. I'm talking about the animated shorts for the Clone Wars that came out in serials. That's and on Disney Plus.
Another little fun fact, not that they'll do anything with it as far as I know.
What's up?
The acquisition of Fox made it so they could get the actual original theatrical cuts of the original trilogy.
And that'd be great. They need to bring them back because I'm so sick of seeing the updated versions of that trilogy. The OG trilogy was I don't know if I use the F word here, but it was a masterpiece. The
Hold on, let me
OG trilogy was so much better without. Yeah, I've already said I didn't say it yet.
I was
So
just testing out the beeper.
okay, so let's just try this really quick. Okay, if I say it was a masterpiece, you use the beep but one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's try this live for the first time ever in the history of the WADcast. Okay, the OG trilogy was a fucking masterpiece.
Close enough.
So now I have my one per episode that I still get to use on the surprise for Josh because it was bleeped out. So the thing is still, see, it's all about business, Josh, and planning, much like what Disney did with Star Wars. But you have to see this original trilogy. You have to see the OG
Han shot first.
episodes. Huh?
Actually, Greedo didn't shoot at all. So Han
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, Han shot Greedo. It was not until the remastered version that was released in the 90s where Harrison Ford was just not, he didn't even duck. They just moved him.
Bad.
Like, you have to see this. If you watch the original, he sits there and he just shoots Greedo. That's how it happened. Now in the remastered version that came out, like when they came out with like the Kenner line of toys and everything else, and George Lucas decided like, oh, I'm going to remaster the series and throw Jawas into the frame hanging from this giant camel dinosaur looking thing, and animation that does not match up with the puppetry and the practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
In the remastered version, you have Han Solo who's just sitting, laying back, legs crossed, right? Something like that, I think. I don't know about the legs being crossed, but he's just sitting back, leaning back, lounging like he was in the original movie. But then when Greedo, there's a random blast that comes from Greedo's direction, and it's not like Han Solo just ducks it. What they do is they move his entire body, and they I guess remove the background from his body, and then they remove him from the original background, and they have it right here. The next shot, he's down here. They move the entire body to get that to work, much like when they had Jabba the Hutt. Right, when they remastered it, they had Jabba the Hutt in the scene with Han Solo talking to him before they take off with Luke and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
In the original filmed footage of Jabba the Hutt, it was just some dude wearing a big ass fur coat and Han Solo walking around him talking to him. That's all it was.
When they remastered it,
it just there's a scene where he steps on Jabba's tail. And Jabba's freaking out, oh, it hurts so much with this guy that's a fraction of my weight stepping on me. But it just shows him it's very I don't know, rough cut. It's it jumps. It's not like a smooth transition of as if he was actually stepping on him.
It's not smooth.
It's bad. And Jabba the Hutt looks like shit, man. He looks horrible. In that version, he looks bad. It's a very bad. It's not even like the original Casper movie with Christina Ricci. It's like the one with Hilary Duff, where you have the really bad versions of Casper, or the completely CGI version of Casper. I think the third one, where the giant green ghost, where it was really bad. That's how that still looked better than Jabba the Hutt looks in the first remastered version of Star Wars: A New Hope. But we're coming so far off topic here. I personally prefer, of all streaming services, and this, take it for what you will, I prefer Disney Plus. And second in line is HBO Max. Below that, I'm sorry. I'm skipping. Hulu is first in my book, then Disney Plus, then HBO Max, and then Netflix is at the fourth rather on the bottom. But it's still just not worth my time nor money to really get another subscription with Netflix. I refuse to pay for Netflix ever again. Not at $25 a month for the few things they have that I watch on there. But then you have like all the other ones below that I kind of like flip through unbiasedly, without prejudice. I go through different ones because they have different things I like. Peacock has Parks and Rec. It has The Office. Paramount Plus has some amazing things on it. It does have some great movies. Amazon Prime is good, but there's nothing on Amazon Prime that I can't find on YouTube for the most part. So
On YouTube?
oh yeah, there's some like. Listen, The Terrifier is not a great series. It's on Amazon Prime, but it's not really a great series. To me, it's not worth watching. Now there is a series. I think I'll look it up. There's God, what's it called? When you have a movie, God, I should not even be remotely asking this live on the show. Anthology. There's an anthology series with Art the Clown that shows up periodically. That's not on Amazon Prime, but you have Amazon Prime that has like the same partnerships with things like Shutter and everything else. But then it changes so much, and it's also unreliable because things like Invincible, right? They release Invincible in 2 different parts for the same season. They're going to release it. They're going to release part 2 for season 2 sometime soon. I love Invincible. It's a great series to read. It's a really messed up. The Boys is good, but it's also a great series to read. And what they do in The Boys TV show versus what they do on the comic strips are 2 different things. It's very much. It's the guy that created like Robert Kirkland. Is involved with Invincible. The Boys, I forget who the writer for The Boys was. The comic strip series. Was that wasn't Robert Kirkland, was it? I don't think it was. Huh?
I don't know.
Okay. But The Boys is going the same way that Walking Dead went. Walking Dead started off as a very strong retelling of a source material, and The Boys did the same thing, and they just strayed from it. I want to see how it goes, but it's not really keeping my attention. Now Invincible, I hope it goes that way because Invincible and Walking Dead were created by the same guy, which is Robert Kirkland. Which is why you have Steve Young like as the central protagonist of Invincible when he played Glenn in The Walking Dead. It's just one of those deals where it's like I want to see where these things go. I do like Amazon Prime, but aside from a few shows, I don't really care about another goddamn thing on Amazon Prime.
And The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, like, and that's a movie I can watch. I have a copy of it. I'm talking about like original content.
I've mentioned nothing but original content.
Huh?
I said I've mentioned nothing but original content.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel's on DVD, and it was a story series before it was a show or movie, rather.
What are you talking about?
Am I thinking the wrong thing here? Let me see really quick. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. 1 second.
Amazon Prime original show, Rachel Brosnahan.
Knock it off, Josh. Let me look it up and see that I'm wrong myself. Okay, I'm wrong. Never mind.
You're making my brain hurt.
You're making mine hurt. You hurt my feelings. You call me out in front of everyone in the world and says some jackass is online randomly without a Facebook profile. I'll be like, oh, your brand's an idiot. I can pass that off, but no, it's one of my closest friends. Like, oh yeah, you're an idiot. Like, oh, okay.
Well, then don't be wrong.
You hurt my feelings.
Don't be wrong.
You hurt me. You broke my heart, Josh. You broke my heart. But either way, so no, Amazon Prime though, it has a few things I like, but not enough to really keep my attention. I'm happy that it's I can get like an account for free with ads. because I can ignore ads with shows that I really want to watch,
And they have
as
freebie.
opposed to. And I don't like freebie. They have some things that are worth they have some things that are cool, but it's
Judy
really
Justice.
huh?
Judy Justice.
I won't say his name. But you got off lucky, dude. You got off lucky. We all know you ripped him off, Ramsey.
But how about this? The thing we haven't mentioned yet is Netflix, and you say they've been sort of resting on their laurels, as it were.
Yes, that's how I feel.
Other than picking up the WWE, I think the last really innovative thing they've done was sort of pivot away from being a content curator and catcher, and started making original series and original movies.
Oh yeah, they've done quite a bit of that. Like, listen, what they do for Breaking Bad with El Camino. El Camino is a damn good movie. Albeit the supporting actor that played the psychopath in the series for Breaking Bad when he was younger in 2010 and much skinnier. They brought him back as like the middle-aged man he is now with a full beard gut. And like, just, come on. You're getting paid as a supporting actor in this movie. Lose the gut. Look more like yourself as much as you can.
You're talking about Matt Damon?
The knockoff version of Matt Damon. But what they do with their long day original content is great. Like, you have Oat Studios. I love Oat Studio. Black Mirror is an amazing series. I love Black Mirror. So you have some shows that are really worth watching on there.
House of Cards, Orange
House
is the New
of
Black.
Cards was a damn good. Orange is the New Black was bad after episode 3. That was such an overblown. That was such a bad series. It was not good at all.
Again, you're wrong, but
I am not homegirl that went to prison. Went to prison for like a few short months, and she made a series based off of her experience over the course of like 5 or 6 years. She made up so much stuff that's not even remotely close to realistic. She did no research in that.
Who cares?
I care. I'm familiar with how that stuff works. I've got friends and family that work in law enforcement. It's so bad and off the wall. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
It was not meant to be one at first. It turned into a parody of the woman's life. I'm like, what you did for yourself, what you overcame, you come out the other side relatively unscathed. And then you just turned your entire experience into a joke of an experience. And that's not close to what it was. But you did it. That's a joke. Okay. Series sucks. 13 reasons why. How are there so many seasons of this show right now? Stranger Things. Shit. It's not that good of a show. But 13 Reasons Why. We see the 13 Reasons Why in the first season. We're on season like 4 or 5 now. It stopped being about the girl's suicide years ago. The original content's not that great. Netflix seems to keep their stuff on for years. And other things like, you know what? This is doing really good, but it's competing with our stuff. So cut the good stuff. We'll keep ours. It's not good.
Yeah, they're known for canceling their stuff after 2 or 3 seasons. That's their reputation.
Yeah, they should have done that with Stranger Things and 13 Reasons Why. But we're still dealing with those. But I will say the Adam Sandler movies that are on there You don't have to be an Adam Sandler fan to really appreciate these movies, because what he does, aside from things like the Ridiculous Six and God, sorry, Hoobie Halloween, Uncut Gems was an amazing movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah, but it wasn't a Netflix movie.
That was part of his agreement with Netflix.
Mm-mm.
Yes, he's got another one coming out. He had another one. What was it? He's got another one coming out
Space
later
Jam,
this year. Yes, he has an agreement with Netflix for a certain number of movies.
Yeah, through Happy Madison.
Yeah, I thought it was just through him.
No, A24 did Uncut Gems.
I thought he had like a big producer credit in that one that actually got it onto Netflix. That classified as part of his contractual obligations.
No,
I'm going to have to really look into this. I could have sworn I read somewhere that Adam Sandler had an agreement with Netflix over Uncut Gems and A24, because A24 is an independent studio. They're not mainstream still for some reason. They should be. These guys should be up for numerous Oscar grabs at this point.
hold on.
But
would you count distribution being a part of this?
I had to look into the agreements between Adam Sandler and Netflix. I had to really look
I'm
into
fairly
what.
sure Netflix might have a distribution agreement for it, but as far as production stuff, I know they're
Possibly.
making his silly comedies.
Yeah, his silly comedies have like long outlasted their due. Listen, Adam Sandler is a brilliant comedian. He is, but he's more a brilliant business person. And when it comes to his more serious roles, and I never thought I'd say this when I was a younger kid, like the age of 11, 12, or 13. With Adam Sandler's more so with Adam Sandler, he's an amazing actor. He is.
Yeah.
He sends shivers down my spine at times with his acting. Reign Over Me. Holy shit, man. Like Punch Drunk Love, I say will be also next to oh no, what was it? Big Daddy, which is not like remotely close to what Punch Drunk Love or Reign Over Me was. But with his acting in those roles, he's shit, dude. Like he has turned into this older, brilliant actor that delivers these performances that are just holy shit amazing. But I would hope that Netflix has an agreement with him to film some badass original movies. Murder Mystery was a good movie too. I believe that was under the Happy Madison banner. But
Yeah.
Murder Mystery was a very good movie with him and Jennifer Aniston. That was actually very entertaining. Ridiculous Six, not so much. It had some parts that made me laugh.
I think the thing that, when it comes to Adam Sandler, you can directly compare him to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
As far as when they make their movies, they know who their audience is.
Yep. Okay. I agree with you on that one. Yeah, absolutely.
And they make movies for their audience.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's go ahead, because we're going to have to go soon in a few minutes here. So I'll let you, if you want to continue this, you can continue this or go with whatever you want to go with after I jump off. But if we were to have a streaming services, I made a joke on a Facebook reel today, and also in the post and promotional material I made for us on Instagram and Facebook. If we were to have a streaming platform of our own, what would you call it? Because I kind of like WAD TV. I feel like that could be like a callback to like 90s MTV, and we just like turn the M upside down and have an AD, and then like have the TV, but have like the lines over and under the WAD part with the TV peering over the lines. But that's how I look at it. But what would you say we would have on our streaming platform? Like, how would you look at things? Because I always looked at like the more independent underdogs of filmmaking between features, and short films?
Well, I think a streaming service that we do would probably feature exclusively independent um, content.
Yeah.
Not so much like IFC, because of course that is the thing that exists.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, there's tiers, ladies and gentlemen. There's tiers to independent film. A lot of it's related to budget, but there are people that make movies that don't have, necessarily the
The
means to get into Sundance.
Yeah, the platform and the recognition.
That they can't shop their film around, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So it would be pretty cool to have, and I know Sundance has its own kind of thing going for it, but I'm talking about like a Sundance-esque platform where if people will know you go to this service to see the most indie of indie features or indie short films that vary in quality from really good uh, independent films to, hey, my friends and I made this thing with my phone.
Yeah.
Because it would be really cool, in my opinion, to have one place to go look at what your friends are doing, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I would load it up with. Basically, I would put all of my friends' movies on a streaming service.
Oh yeah, no, that absolutely. One second.
I did have a second idea though, and I'll tell the people about that now. It would be a streaming service that would cost no more than $5 a month, and the caveat is, at any given time, there are no more than, we'll say, 10 to 20 pieces of content on it.
Yeah.
Just, it has a cap. And then every month it changes. So it's like a mystery box streaming service. You don't know what you're going to get. But
See, I
there will
like
be a
that.
multitude of genres to choose from. So, like I said, it's like a streaming service mystery box.
See, I like that, but it sounds very dangerous. Only in the sense that, like, if you don't know what you're getting, why would you pay for it?
For the
Oh, it's
mystery.
rotating. Like, what if it all sucks? See, like, my whole thing is I agree with you. Like, the independent factor of things, like independent filmmakers. I'm not talking about, like, the Ninja Turtles movie from like 1990. Because that, although it's like it was listed as the most successful independent film for decades after it came out, it still costs a lot of money to make. But I like the idea of like things like Mark, okay, friend of the show, Mark Hensley. He has a feature film he's making right now, which is on a shoestring budget. What his budget is paying the cast and crew.
Mm-hmm.
There's however you send in filmmaking. Here's the thing. Here's the down dirty nitty gritty. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to make a short or feature. What you have to have is respect, networking skills, and people that believe in you. On top of that, enough money to cover the cost of food for them.
Right.
If they cannot get paid to do what they're doing for you, at least feed them. Make sure that, hey, you're here for a couple hours, eat some food. It's called crafty services. If you can't get like someone to cater the event, go buy some shit, man. Just go to the store, buy some sandwiches, go buy some snacks, go buy some sodas, go buy some candy. Just buy things that people will eat and snack on and munch on. But make sure you don't skip out on things like, if it's going to be like a late night thing, buy dinner. But still, like, I mean, there are ways to go around it. But yeah, it's like what I see largely with these companies. Like, I would love to see a streaming services that touches on these independent features that have no money, that have nothing at all. Mind you, Lights Out gave birth to a man's career because the short film was that amazing with just him and his wife, him directing, his wife acting. He had no money for a proper gimbal set or like a proper anything, so he had to build his own shit. He had to get smart with his filmmaking. He didn't have money for special effects, so he went through Adobe After Effects and he created this creature that's haunting his wife. But it spawned his career. It really did. Be smart. I would love to have a series of like a streaming site that you and I would love for you and I to run a streaming site where we just like have smart filmmaking. We have behind the scenes like footage and notations of how shots were made. Famous shots that were like filmed with no budget, no permit, no nothing. Completely illegal and guerrilla tactics to get the perfect shots for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would love for us to have like a live, what we do here, have like a live podcast, but with different podcasts across television and film and everything else. Like, but have them on there with their own little channels. You know, hey, podcasts, you like podcasts? Here you go. What do you have? Like, oh, well, we have like the Nicolas Cage podcast that bought us, that got us out like in second place over our third place. Have what's this? Jordan Godfrey's podcast. Have them all on there, but like have them different things. You don't just have to have video like things, but just have different options, right? But largely just the independent things, short films, whether they're whatever genre, horror, comedy, drama, you know, dramedy, like romantic, whatever. Have them on there. See, YouTube's become very oversaturated with whatever content they can find. Anyone can get a YouTube channel and like upload. Like, I've got Indiana right now sleeping on the floor of my office.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash that like button.
I've got Indiana Jones sleeping on the floor of my office. And I could, you know, post a video of him and say, like, I'm an independent filmmaker. Because you see a lot of that right now on YouTube. But I would envision what you and I would have would be more of a what Kevin Smith always wanted to do that I don't think he ever really successfully did, which is absolutely back 100% people getting their independent films out there. You know, no disrespect to Kevin Smith. Kevin, if you listen to this, we know you listen to the show. We both love you, man. We really do. But I don't think you've done as much as you would have wanted to for independent filmmakers.
And that's why he started what Modco distribution. He has that film distribution company.
But at the same time, having a film distribution company, or with his backing, his financial backing, creating a streaming service for nothing but indie films or low budget films or whatever, short films, feature films, who cares? I'd love to see Kevin do that. I really would. I would love to have him on the show where we could discuss this. I don't know how much he could discuss because I know that with him, lawyers and agents and managers are all involved. But you know, I would love a streaming service in the platform for underdog filmmakers that cannot get ahead and they're being drowned out by like YouTube or other people getting bought up by Hollywood. I would love to have a streaming service where we can actually plan with these people accordingly. And oh god,
I'm so sorry. You just want a place to watch Born into Mafia?
Huh?
I'm saying you just want to watch, have a place to watch Born into Mafia.
Is that the Netflix series?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was about to bring him up. Amplix is a great example. You have a series called WAD TV where we have like an independent film. Neil Breen is a great example, but he is so wealthy he can afford his own distribution apparently. But his films are horrible. But on that note, I do have to get out of here. I got to be at a visiting time at the hospital. It's already. Oh yeah, it's already getting late there. I do have to get going, but I would love to continue this conversation.
I'm sure you would.
I would. I think we should record ourselves talking about this and post it on the WADcast later on. But that being said, I do have to get going. A good friend of mine gave birth to her first child last night, as I said earlier. I've got to go make sure she's good. That she's not God doesn't have a whole lot of support, and just I'm excited to meet a new nephew. So everyone have a great Friday night. Josh will take over, but we have actually been discussing a WAD TV streaming service and what could go into it. What we would have.
Who would we call? I'm saying who we would call to get content.
Yeah.
Other than just making it ourselves.
Yeah. All the independents. Oh yeah. There's no way we could ever staff a fucking like post a streaming service and just like have our stuff. It's like all of like, maybe like 8 hours of shit. So either way, you guys all have a great Friday night. Have a great weekend. But Joshua, I'll take it up from here on out. I do have to get going. Love you guys. Thank you for jumping into the show and listening to us. But yeah, I would leave it in Josh's very, very, very capable and talented and very soft hands.
Get out.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Bye. He just tries to say goodbye, but can't seem to break himself away from you guys. Can you blame him? You guys are great. So it's you know what? Hold on. Let's see if I have any closing thoughts on streaming services. Naturally, you all have a limited budget, and as we all have a limited budget, well, some of you might have unlimited budgets. To which I say, congrats. Good on you. But for those of us that do have limited budgets and have to be picky about what streaming services we subscribe to, I recommend doing your homework, finding out what is on the platforms, finding out what you want to watch and which platforms those are. I have a lot. Whatever I can pay for an entire year, I do that instead of having monthly payments. Usually wind up saving a little bit of money in the long run too. And once something isn't worth the value anymore, in your opinion, then by all means, cut it off. Cut it out of your life. If there's nothing to watch, if there's nothing on a streaming service that you're kind of into, then by all means, don't be afraid to say goodbye, because you can always pick it up again later when something of interest comes back. That's the beauty part of streaming services over, having cable. You can just come and go as you please, and as they say, keep only the ones you want, cancel anytime. So that was the streaming services conversation. And as I said at the top of the show, now that Brandon's gone, we get to talk about Oscar nominees. I'm not gonna really go into much, if any, conversation about snubs or anything like that. That can be a topic for a different day. Something a little bit closer to the actual award ceremony, maybe even a follow up to it. But I printed out the ballot sheet. The ballot sheet has the categories right here, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this out on the air, so that way. I really should have done this for the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards and the Emmys, because I made my predictions on the air, and I totally forgot which ones I made. I'm fairly sure I did not do well, and now I'll be able to prove I didn't do well. So we're gonna start at the bottom, work our way up, and we're going to start with best visual effects. We have The Creator. I did see that. Godzilla -1. Saw that too. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which they dropped the Part 1. And Napoleon. The only one I didn't see was Napoleon. But because it is such an amazing movie, and like I said, I didn't want to go into what deserves to be recognized and what was snubbed. Godzilla -1 has to win something. So I'm going to go with Godzilla -1. Leaving the check mark right there. Best sound, The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, The Zone of Interest. The best sound. I did not see Zone of Interest, but I did see the rest. So again, 4 out of 5. I will I'm gonna go with Oppenheimer on this one. Maestro was mixed very well, but there was something about the Oppenheimer sound that I don't know, it was just so amazing where these little, you know what? Don't want to get too deep into it. Just jump scares in a biopic. That's all I'm going to say. Best short live action. Didn't see any of them. So, oh wait, I did see. Yeah, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Let's go with that. Good on ya. Best short animated. We'll go with War is. Oh, okay. Best short live action. The Affair, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. I went with The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Best short animated. Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses Are Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over. Inspired by the music of John and Yoko. I'm going to go with War is Over. Seems like a pretty safe bet. Because recognition and whatnot. Best production design: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. I've been saying it for a long time. Barbie. Best original song: The Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot. Flamin' Hot, Hulu original, nominated for an Oscar because of Flaming Cheetos. Yeah. I'm Just Kin from Barbie. I Never Went Away from American Symphony. A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon. And What Was I Made For from Barbie. I'm going to pick What Was I Made For, even though I'm Just Kin is going to be amazing to watch performed on the Oscar stage. And some of you peaches, you know what? Moving on, Best Original Score, American Fiction, Laura Karpman. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, John Williams. Killers of the Flower Moon, Robbie Robertson. Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson. Poor Things, Jerskin Fendrix. Just because I'm a straight up mark for John Williams and Indiana Jones, I'm going to go with that. Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Society of the Snow. I haven't seen Poor Things, but I think I'm going to go with Poor Things. Best International Feature Film, Io Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, Society of the Snow from Spain, The Teacher's Lounge from Germany, and The Zone of Interest in the UK. No Godzilla. So I am going to go with Society of the Snow. Was that I thought that was a series. Guess I was mistaken. Best film editing: Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. Again, haven't seen Poor Things, but I think I'm going to have to go with that. Best documentary short: the ABC's A Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nine and Y. Poe. I will go with the ABC's of Book Banning. Best documentary feature: Bobby Wine, The People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters to Kill a Tiger in 20 Days, and Mariupol. I'll go with 20 Days. Best costume design: Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things. I'm sorry. In honor of our previous guest, Winnie and Adams, I will do this the correct way. Best costume designer: Barbie, Jacqueline Duran, Killers of the Flower Moon, Jacqueline West, Napoleon, Janty Yates and Dave Crossman, Oppenheimer, Ellen Murnick, and Poor Things, Holly Waddington. Because Barbie, I mean, if there's anything Barbie's known for, it's accessories, right? And clothing. It's best cinematography: El Conde, Edward Lockham, Killers of the Flower Moon, Rodrigo Prieto, Maestro, Matthew Lebatique, Oppenheimer, Hoyt van Hoytema, Poor Things, Robbie Ryan. I'm going to go with Oppenheimer. So many categories, jeez. Best animated feature: The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and my pick, Spider-Man Across the Universe. Yeah, Spider-Man. Best supporting actress. Here we go. Getting into the meat of it now. Emily Blunt, Oppenheimer. Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple. America Ferrera, Barbie. Jodie Foster, Naiad. Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers. I think it's going to go to The Holdovers, but I'm going to go with America Ferrera because I love America Ferrera. Best actress: Annette Bening, Naiad. Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon. Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall. Carey Mulligan, Maestro, Emma Stone, Poor Things. Going with Lily Gladstone seems to be, I'm not saying a safe bet, but it's a good choice. Best supporting actor: Sterling K. Brown, American Fiction. Robert De Niro, Killers of the Flower Moon. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer. Ryan Gosling, Barbie. Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things. We got Iron Man and Hulk up in here. As much as I would love to give it to Ryan Gosling, I think RDJ is going to be taking home this award. Best actor: Bradley Cooper, Maestro. Coleman Domingo, Rustin, Paul Giamatti, The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction. I'm gonna go. I have to go Paul Giamatti. And nothing against any of the other performances, just The Holdovers came out of nowhere for me, and Paul Giamatti is just, it's beyond time for him to be recognized for his amazing work. Best original screenplay: Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, Past Lives. That is a good one. I'm going to go Past Lives. Best adapted screenplay: American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Zone of Interest. I'm going to go Barbie, because they made this story out of Barbie. Who saw that coming? Best Director: Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet, Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese, Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos, and The Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer. Of course, Chris Nolan, I think. takes it. And finally, Best Picture. The 10 films for Best Picture are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, The Zone of Interest, and I think it goes without question that Oppenheimer is going to be considered last year's best movie. So that's everything filled in. Excuse me. Whew. Thanks for hanging in there with me. So here we are, end of the show. Got the Oscar picks in, talked about streaming services. We did good stuff tonight, I think. And that means the music playing means it's time for a lot of things. First of all, if you enjoyed what you've seen here, don't forget to go to WADcast.com. That's where you'll find all of the links to the social media sites that you need to go to make sure you give us a follow. That way, you always know when we're going to go live with a podcast or when we're going to go live with 10 to 1, the internet's favorite movie-centric list making podcast with more content coming this year. More WADco production stuff than you've ever seen. Hopefully, you'll like it just as much, if not more, than you do everything we already do. So WADcomedia.com. Make sure when you visit the socials, leave the follows, give the likes, and keep an eye on what we're doing because this space is growing. If you feel like purchasing some stuff, hey, there's a merchandise stand at WADcomedia.com. Give it a perusal. It's artisanally designed. That means I made the designs. I think that's handcrafted. I used my hands on this computer to make those designs. So I'm going to say that counts. I know there's a Patreon, but I'd rather, much rather you be able to have something you can actually have in your hands rather than some promises that, honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't remember what's on there. So I can't guarantee things will get done. Although I should be a little more responsible to keep track of that. I guess I know. But just give us a follow everywhere. Finally, we've reached the end of episode number 158. I'm Josh. The guy that left earlier was Brandon. And we have a message that we deliver every week at the end of the show. And that is the simple guideline, the simple thought that the only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. If you want to be something, be something. If you want to be a writer, start writing. If you want to be a director, grab your phone. Start doing some filming. Get that cinematography going. Stories. Nobody's going to stop you. You don't need to ask permission to be a storyteller. You don't need to ask permission to be an artist. You don't need to ask permission to be a creator. You just have to do it. That's it. And the more you do it, the better at it you will be. And one day, who knows where you can end up. But it all starts right here. It all starts right now. By taking your dreams and turning them into reality with a simple step. One. That's all it takes. Get you going on the path to your destiny. Well, thank you all for joining us here tonight. If you're listening at a later time, thank you for downloading the WADcast or streaming it wherever you happen to be streaming it. It has been a joy and a pleasure doing tonight's episode for all of you. And I hope that each and every single one of you has a wonderful time with whatever you're going to be doing after I stop talking. Just trying to buy time, trying to get to the closing part of the, found it. So, for Brandon, I'm Josh. I wish you all a wonderful time of day wherever you are. And don't forget,